Hello and welcome to Soros's classes again. We move to the next set of questions, and the next one is about a poem. So the poem says, some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to know that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. So he's associating desire with fire and hate with ice, and he's saying that the world would end. People have different views. That some say that will end in fire, and some say that will end in ice, and both are equally lethal or potent to kill people. So he's saying that from whatever I have experienced, tasted of means experience of desire. Desire is want or greed. So whatever I've seen of want or greed, I would tend to agree with those who say that it will end in fire. But I think I also know enough of hate. So I've also experienced hatred. Hatred means envy, or a feeling of hatred towards others. So this is uh, equivalent to destruction by ice. So let's go to the question straight away. Question 18 says, which of the following statements will the poet agree with the most? Agree the most. And let's see the questions. The first one says, desire overpowers hatred to control humans. This is not told anywhere um, in the poem. Then he says, greed can destroy one's world. Yes, he's saying that desire or greed can result in destruction. So this is correct. Then he's saying both desire and hate can create self-doubt. It is not about self-doubt. It is about ending of the world, destruction. Number D says hatred destroys what desire cannot. No, he's saying both hatred and desire can destroy in different ways. And the last one is ambition is more powerful than envy. There's no comparison between ambition and envy. It is the poem is clearly about destruction of the world, and the two reasons possible are desire and hate, and it can end in two different ways, is what the poem is saying. So the only option that we are left with is option B. Greed can destroy one's world is definitely something that the poet will agree with, because he's clearly saying that desire would result in destruction. Let's go to the next question. So the next one is question number 19, which says, which is the most unsuitable title of the poem? Most unsuitable. Let's go through the options. Option A says love and detest. Detest means hate. Love and detest, a tale of destruction. Love is also a form of desire. So desire and hate, a tale of destruction. Okay, this can be a title, because it is talking about both desire and hatred, and it is talking about destruction. So it can be a title. How the world ends. Yes, it is talking about the destruction of the world, can be a title. The annihilation hypothesis. The annihilation means destruction. Yes, the destruction theory of the world can be a possible option. Destruction by fire and ice. Yes, clearly mentioned, so that can be one. Emotional destruction of the world. So this is not what the poem is talking about. It is talking about destruction by fire or ice. The reason is desire or hatred, but the destruction is by fire and ice. So it is not emotional destruction, it is physical destruction of the world. It is not emotional destruction, it is physical destruction by fire and ice. So this is something which the author will not agree with, and possibly will not be the a suitable title to the poem. Now we move to a short passage which is followed by some questions. So let's go through the passage first. The passage starts by saying, it's as if someone were out there making up pointless jobs, meaningless jobs, just for the sake of keeping us all working or engaged. And here precisely lies the mystery. In capitalism, this is precisely what is not supposed to happen. So, the capitalist society means, it's based on a meritocracy, it's based on productivity, and it says that, everyone should be productive, and everyone should contribute actively to the growth of the society at large by working productive hours. So, pointless jobs means unproductive jobs should not happen. Sure, in the old efficient socialist states like the Soviet Union, where unemployment was considered where employment was considered both a right and a sacred duty, the system made up as many jobs as it had to do. This is why Soviet department stores, it took 3 clerks to sell a piece of meat. So what we are being told is that in the current context, we are seeing pointless or meaningless jobs which are there, which shouldn't be there. And we are also told that in the socialist society, this was a norm, because socialism believed in employment. They believed that everyone should be given opportunity to earn money. So equality of economic status was the underlying theme of socialism. But of course, this is the very sort of problem market competition is supposed to fix. Now, market competition is associated with capitalist society. So, socialist society supported pointless jobs. Capitalist society is not supposed to support it, and market competition should be able to fix it, because wherever you have competition, companies would tend to hire only small number of productive people, uh, so that they can keep their costs low, and they can earn more profits. According to the economic theory, at least the last thing a profit-seeking firm is going to do is shell out money to workers they don't really need to employ. So this is what exactly is the fundamental of capitalism, that a profit-seeking organization will only employ productive employees so that they can make more profit, and they will not employ people who are just for the sake of employment. Still, somehow it happens. While corporations may engage in ruthless downsizing, the layoffs and speed-ups invariably fall on the class of people who are actually making, moving, fixing, and maintaining things. So it is saying that though we are seeing layoffs in companies, but these layoffs are impacting those who are actually productive. Through some strange alchemy, no one can quite explain, the number of salaried paper pushers ultimately seems to expand, and more employees find themselves, not unlike Soviet workers, actually working 40 or even 50 hours weeks on paper, but effectively working 15 hours, just as Keynes predicted, since the rest of their time is spent organizing or attending motivational seminars, updating their Facebook profiles, or downsizing TV box sets. So what is saying is, despite the fact that we are living in a capitalist society where it should not happen that unproductive people are employed and unproductive jobs exist, but we are observing that they do. So pointless jobs do exist, and we are not able to explain why it is happening, because there are people who are working 50 hours a week on paper, but they're actually productive for only 15 hours. So they're unproductive most of the time. The answer clearly isn't economic, it's moral and political. So now he's coming to the point. The ruling class has figured out that a happy and productive population with free time on their hands is a mortal danger. So this is the problem. So he feels that the ruling class feels that if there are people who are productive and who have free time, then they would engage in in dangerous activities, or they might actually oppose the government and so on. So it is a danger for the ruling class. So therefore they want to keep people engaged in whatever way they can. Think of what started to happen when this even began to be approximated in the 60s. So in the 60s, this was the line of thought that people should be engaged, and therefore no matter what, you just give them jobs. And this is the same theory that the current ruling class is following, that just keep them engaged regardless of whether the effort is productive or not. And on the other hand, the feeling that work is a moral value in itself, and that anyone not willing to submit themselves to some kind of intense work discipline for most of the waking hours deserves nothing, is extraordinarily convenient for them. So basically, the ruling class feels that just keeping people engaged. Ruling class feels that they should keep people engaged, because then they will not engage themselves in opposing the government, or any activities that might be harmful to the ruling class. So this is the theme of the passage, that despite the fact that we are living in a capitalist society, we are still finding that meaningless jobs, or unproductive jobs are existing, and the reason for it is that the ruling class feels that they should keep people engaged. So let's go to the questions. Question number 20 says, which of the following options, if true, best makes the author's assertion on pointless jobs erroneous? That means, which of these statements, if it is true, will actually negate the author's point that unproductive jobs should not exist. So let's see. Option A says pointless jobs decrease the efficiency of the organization, since they replace those who are making, fixing and moving things. So if it decreases the efficiency of the organization, then such jobs should not exist, and therefore what the author is saying would be correct. So this cannot be the answer. The second one says organizations with a high number of pointless jobs are more profitable than those with less. So if this is true, then it means that we should have pointless jobs for more profit, and the organizations are working towards profit. So therefore, it is better to have pointless jobs. And this statement would actually negate the author's point of view. So this is the correct answer, because it is telling the reverse thing, that that companies with unproductive jobs are more profitable. Therefore, unproductive jobs should remain, which is a valid point. Option C says pointless jobs add less value to the organization than jobs of those who are making or fixing things. So it is telling the same thing as in sentence A. So therefore, it is not incorrect. I mean, it is in line with what the author is saying. So therefore, it is not making that point erroneous. So that is why it is not true in this question. Option D says, even though the rate of increase in pointless jobs is higher, their absolute number on average is lower than that of meaningful jobs. Now, even if this is true, it only means that the number of the number of pointless jobs is low, but it is increasing at a rapid pace. So therefore, it will overtake the number of productive jobs at some point in time. So therefore, such jobs are needed. So this is not correct in the context of it. And the last one says workers who carry out pointless jobs are more loyal to the organization. So if they're loyal to the organization, it doesn't matter because it has nothing to do with the profit of the organization. So being loyal to the organization may or may not result in profits. So the author is talking about the connection of unproductive jobs to the profitability of the organization. So number E doesn't relate to that. So it is not relevant in the context of the passage and the question. So option B, which says organization with higher number of pointless jobs are more profitable than those with less. If this is true, then it would mean that we should have pointless jobs, and therefore this is the correct option. Let's go to the next question, which says which of the following can be best inferred from the passage? Now the options are: pointless jobs are here to stay regardless of whether they are necessary or not. Now this is kind of hinted in the passage that they're in place because of a certain political reason, and probably they will stay. So it can be inferred from the passage. Let's look at, but we are asked which is the best inference. So let's look at the other options. The second one says keeping people employed for longer hours serves the plans of the ruling class. This is the real reason, and it's been clearly told in the last para that just keep them engaged so that they don't engage themselves in harmful activities which might be harmful to the ruling class. So this is the real reason which can be inferred from the passage. The third one says for political reasons, profit-making firms sometimes indulge in non-profitable decisions. This is irrelevant. Non-profitable decisions might not relate to creation of non-profitable jobs. It might be, entering a non-profitable market and all of that. So this is irrelevant. This cannot be related to the context of the passage. And then option D says the ruling class abhors, means hates, leisure so much that they encourage organizations to create unwanted jobs. So if they hate leisure, then they would not encourage organizations to create unwanted jobs. So the meaning of this sentence is self-contradictory. So if someone hates leisure, they will not tell the companies to promote leisure time, or they will not tell the companies to create unwanted jobs. They will tell the companies to create more productive jobs. So this is contradictory in itself. The fifth option says work as a moral right is the design of the ruling class to cut down on leisure. No, work as a moral right is not the reason. The reason is to keep people engaged so that they don't engage in harmful activities. So none of the options except B highlights the inference from the passage. A is close, but B is better because it brings out the real reason why ruling class creates unproductive jobs or supports unproductive jobs. Moving to question 22, it says which of the following statements will best explain the principle underlying the theme of the passage. And the theme of the passage we've already understood is that the ruling class wants to create unwanted jobs or supports them because they want to keep people engaged. So options A says people unwilling to submit to an intense work discipline deserves nothing. This is told in the passage, but might not be the best statement. Let's have a look at the other one. Peace and order in society require humans to be engaged in some activity most of the time, regardless of its meaninglessness. Yes, because the ruling class feels that if they are not engaged, they will disrupt peace, they will engage in dangerous activities, so it might be counterproductive for the government. So therefore, they want them to be engaged, whether that engagement or that activity has any meaning or not. So unproductive or meaningless jobs are required to engage people. So therefore, this is uh, a right inference or right sentence which captures the underlying theme of the passage. Option C says organizations that create more jobs are rewarded by the government for protecting political values. Nowhere it is told in the passage that they are rewarded by the government, so this is not inferable from the passage. Option D says work is a moral value in itself. This is also not correct because it is the other way around. Work is created to keep people engaged. Keynes predicted that a happy and productive workforce is a force for the good. Nowhere it is told in the passage. So it is irrelevant in the context of the passage. So the only option that we can see is option B, which clearly brings out the theme of the passage that people should be kept engaged as per the ruling class in order to maintain peace and order in the society so that they don't engage in dangerous activities. So option B is the correct one.